Good day, good people! Happy New Year and welcome to episode 85 of the Light Edit Project podcast. My name is Naomi, and today I'm filling in for my mom, Coach Elizabeth, because she has laryngitis. That means she has to rest her voice, so I get to take over the mic this week. Don't worry, I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm just a kid. I'm just going to read the script that my mom wrote for me and tell you about the rest of this episode. For the first episode of 2025, my mom put together a mashup of clips from some of her best episodes of 2024. There were 5 clips from one of each of her 5 most popular episodes this year. The details for each clip are in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. If you're interested in working with my mom and signing up for one-on-one coaching with her, that's a great idea, by the way. She's a great coach. The link to book a call with her is also in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time for the mashup. Ready? Let's go. I tried to sound like her.
Before we dive into the 3 types of routines that you can add to your life to be more productive, let's first back it up and make sure that we're on the same page. What the heck is a routine in the first place? Well, that very much depends on who you're asking. If you would have asked me from 10 years ago, I would have said that routines are a great way to just smother all the fun out of life and stifle creativity. I spent years running away from routines because I thought that I was too much of a free spirit and routines felt like a cage. But the truth is, routines, when they're intentional and when they are well crafted, they can be liberating and empowering. And here's why. A routine at its heart is just a series of recurring decisions that you make in advance. And making good decisions ahead of time on a regular basis will make you more productive because decision fatigue is a real thing. It's real, y'all. And being productive is a decision that you have to make. Being productive is hard because you have to decide to do it. You have to decide to expend energy when you'd rather conserve it. And you have to decide to focus on the task at hand when it would be so easy to just follow your stream of consciousness and hop from thought to thought. And when decision fatigue kicks in, when you've reached the ceiling on how many good decisions you can make in a day, your brain just starts giving into impulses and resorting to the path of least resistance. But if you can decide to do something in advance, you get the benefit of being productive on purpose without making withdrawals from your daily decision bank. And this is really good news because if you look around at your life, you will notice that a lot of decisions you're faced with are decisions you've already had to make at some point. And if you keep watching, many of those same decisions will come around again and again. So, what if you could find the recurring decisions in your life, the ones that might mean a big fumble if you wait to decide them in real time? What if you could find those decisions and just decide them, at least partially, in advance? There are 3 areas of your life, 3 types of routines that you can implement in your life that will help you be more productive. And when I say be more productive, I mean implementing these types of routines will help you get more done more consistently and create more of the results that you want out of your life. So what are the 3 types of routines? I'm going to introduce them to you one by one. First up is standard routines. Now, if you're taking notes, this is definitely where you start writing things down. So if you're taking notes, go ahead and write this down. What got you here won't get you there. Underline it, write it in red pen, capitalize it, because it's that serious. And here's what this phrase means. Whatever it is that you had to do, whatever strategies you put in place, whatever tools you used to get you to your current level of success may not be sufficient to take you to the next phase of success or to your next level. And so as you work towards your next goal, keep in mind that you may need to change up what it is that you're doing. And this is so important, and this is something that I often spend time working with clients on, because I see so many clients fighting so hard to keep doing it the way they've been doing it, to keep showing up the way they've been showing up, and at the same time, they feel entitled to getting a different result. And I want you to consider the fact that that's not at all how this thing works. When the goal is transformation, you have to transform your mind, your habits, your life, your environment, sometimes your social circle, in order to reach a transformed life. That is how it works. So if you are fighting super hard to keep what you are comfortable with, you are also fighting really hard to stick to your current limits. And that might sound like tough love, but that is the absolute truth. So I want you to think about this. And if it helps, go ahead and journal on this. Ask yourself, what am I fighting hard to hold on to? And what am I missing out on because I won't let it go? The answer will blow your mind. So you've heard me talk about perfection before, but why are we talking today specifically about perfectionism personalities? Well, the answer is, spoiler alert, perfectionism is not a monolith. And perfectionists, people who display perfectionist tendencies, are also not a monolith. We are not all the same. And even though all perfectionist tendencies and behaviors are fueled by the same underlying belief that perfect is better than imperfect, we can act out this belief in a lot of different ways. So my personal brand of perfectionism might not be the same as yours because we're different people, and that's okay, and that's to be expected. But just because you might be able to say, well, I am not a perfectionist because I don't do it the way Coach Elizabeth does, please don't let your brain fool you into thinking that you don't have perfectionist tendencies just because you're not trying to be the same kind of perfect that I am or the same kind of perfect that somebody else is. So what I want to do for you today is just help you open your mind up and help you see and spot perfectionism in all the different ways that it might show up, so that you can recognize perfectionism when it shows up in yourself. All right, so let's go through these 5 perfectionism personalities one by one. And just a heads up, all of these perfectionism personalities, they start with P because I'm a big fan of alliteration. And so the 5 perfectionism personalities start with P because I enjoy that detail. I'm such a nerd, y'all. Okay, here we go. The first perfectionism personality that we're going to talk about today is the pleaser. So the pleaser wants to be perfectly liked, and they want to feel like they are perfectly pleasant in their relationships. At the end of the day, the pleaser perfectionism personality is about needing people to react to you and to relate to you in a certain way. So, how do you recognize the pleaser perfectionism personality when it shows up? It tends to look a lot like, you guessed it, people pleasing, right? So telling people things that you think they want to hear, saying yes when you'd rather say no simply because you believe that people want your yes. It can also look like overextending yourself for the benefit of others. And you do this because, in part, You believe that you need to please the people around you in order to have the kind of relationships that you want. And so, because you believe that perfect is better than imperfect, you believe that a relationship where you perfectly please the folks that you are in relationship with is better than a relationship where they are dissatisfied by you, or that a relationship where you are constantly bending to their will is somehow more perfect than a relationship where there might be tension and conflict. So interesting. So that is the first perfectionism personality. Our human brains are uniquely designed to give us the capacity for reasoning and self-awareness and executive function. And all of those things together allows us to interrupt and disrupt that instinctive chain of feelings and to set off a totally different process instead. It's true that our instinctive feelings can have a major impact on our state of mind, which then impacts the kinds of thoughts that we end up thinking. But as human beings, we can literally activate a different region of our brains and decide to think different thoughts despite our feelings. And that right there is a game changer. And that whole relationship, that ability to disrupt our feelings with thoughts, is why I started off this conversation by saying that your feelings don't really matter the way you think they do. And I'm saying that not because your feelings aren't real, and it's not because your feelings aren't powerful. It's just that you can supersede your feelings with the power of your thoughts. And because our thoughts and feelings influence each other, they happen in this relationship, you always have the opportunity to think different thoughts and therefore generate different feelings, no matter what feeling you are starting with. And when you can learn to shift yourself from feeling like a walking heap of trash to maybe just feeling like you just need a nice long hot shower, that is powerful, powerful stuff. You know, another reason we tend to put so much weight on our feelings is because we tend to act out based on our feelings. And when we do this so much and so often, it's very easy to then believe that our feelings control our actions. We feel tired, so we doze off. We feel hungry, so we grab a snack out of the pantry. We feel unmotivated, and so we don't fold the laundry. Or we feel insecure, so we point out someone else's flaws to distract from our own, etc., etc. We feel XYZ, and therefore we do 1, 2, and 3. But just because that is what happens so often does not mean that that is what we have to do. Taking actions based on our feelings is often the easiest thing to do. Taking action based on our feelings requires the least amount of effort and the least amount of work from us. And because of that, acting based on our feelings creates the least amount of resistance within ourselves too. But the thing about being a human being is not just that we can choose different thoughts to shift our feelings, but also that we can choose to take action that is seemingly incongruent with what we feel. To put it plainly, to put it another way, you can do things that you don't feel like doing. You don't need to wait to feel a certain way until you take action. You can just get started doing the thing and your feelings will catch up. Or maybe your feelings won't catch up, but you can still get the thing done. Ta-da! That is the magic of being a human. That is literally one of our superpowers. And it's these two special abilities that we all have, the ability to choose our thoughts and the ability to choose our actions, that makes our inability to choose every single feeling that we experience totally and completely irrelevant. So, what is overwhelm? At the heart of it, overwhelm is just a feeling. That's it. It is a vibration that flows through our body. And what we need to remember, if we want to counteract and fight back against overwhelm, we need to remember that overwhelm is a feeling and that feelings are connected to our thoughts. So if we want to undercut overwhelm at its source, then we need to back that thing up and look at our thoughts. What are the thoughts that are behind the overwhelm? You don't need to try to spend time figuring it out. I'm going to give you the shortcut. The quick and dirty of it is every feeling of overwhelm generally comes from some flavor of the thought there's too much or too many of something, plus not enough of what I need to deal with it. And those thoughts right there, that is where overwhelm comes from. And when you are thinking those thoughts, it generates the feeling of overwhelm in your body, and it feels like it is pointless and useless to do anything. And that is where we get stuck. And if you are a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist, you often feel overwhelmed by the combination of all of the things that are in front of you and the standards that you are holding yourself to. And I want to give you a super simple solution, because here's the thing. Simple solutions can still be powerful, and they can be powerful because they help you move forward. And so, what I want you to do is to employ simple solutions as a way to act your way out of the overwhelm. I'm not talking about the fake it till you make it. No, that's not what I mean. I literally mean take action until your feeling of overwhelm changes. And now this is important because our feelings and our thoughts and our actions are all connected. And yes, it's true that our thoughts can cause our feelings, but our actions can also interact with and generate feelings in our body. So when you find yourself caught up in a feeling that you don't like, that's not helpful, that's not allowing you to move forward, try taking action if you cannot think your way out of the problem or out of the challenge, okay? And overwhelm is on my mind right now, something heavy, because y'all, I'm a Floridian. I live in South Florida on the East Coast. And at the time that I am recording this, we are getting ready for Hurricane Milton, which is one of the strongest, most intense hurricanes in recorded history. It is a category 5 at the time that I'm recording this, and it is barreling through the Gulf of Mexico, headed towards the west coast of Florida. I don't live over there, but I do have a sister and many cousins that live over on the west coast of Florida. Now, I'm not worried about them. I think they will be fine. They will be safe, because they're not reckless, right? But here's the thing. As a Floridian, it's hurricane season. We get lots of storms that come our way, and there is a level of anxiety that comes with watching a storm maybe barrel down on you, right? And not being able to do anything about the storm itself, but being tasked with figuring out how to get through it. And at the end of the day, keeping it simple, looking for simple solutions is always the best way forward. So instead of looking for elaborate plans for, solving climate change, no, no, no. We're just looking for the simplest way to prep our homes and to prep our stocks of food and all of that for, storm survival and then looking for the simplest way to prep for surviving the aftermath of once the bad weather passes. If we are trying to survive power outages or, a tainted water supply or anything else, right? How do we prepare for that? And the answer is always look for the simplest solution.
Hey, it's Naomi again. Thanks for letting me crash the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the mashup. My mom's voice should be better soon, so she's probably back on the mic next week. Until then, peace. Blech. This is a random piece of secret episode that is unscripted and run by me, Naomi, the best in the world. And I do not know what this episode should be about, so instead of just stalling, I'ma just stall. You know what I mean? Because, that just makes sense, Ooh. Listen, there's this app that we're using, and it, tracks my voice, sort of, because, there are these line thingies, and then they, what do they do? They, however, how high my voice is, it goes, Ree! And then the bar thingies are gonna be all the way on the top, and if I'm then they're gonna be tiny dots. Oh wait, no, those aren't dots, those are lines. Wait, hold on, let me check again. Yeah, those are lines. So yeah, I'm really having fun with this, and hopefully I just get to do this for fun sometimes if my mom will let me. If my mom will let me. Well, I'm sure that she won't, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so yeah, I'm pretty good. Bye! This is when we stop.